They told her not to go to Black Hollow. Locals said the town was cursed, that strange things happened in the fog-choked woods that surrounded it. But Eleanor Drake wasn't superstitious. She was a rational woman, a writer looking for peace and inspiration, and the Victorian manor on the hilltop offered both. Her publisher, a friend from college, had inherited the estate and offered it rent-free. "It's quiet," he'd said, "almost too quiet." He chuckled after saying it, but Eleanor had noticed the edge in his voice. The cab dropped her off at dusk. The manor loomed above her, its dark shingles silhouetted against a bruised sky. Ivy clung to its sides like veins on aging skin. The wind whispered through the trees as if warning her away. She didn't listen. Inside, the manor was cold and smelled of old paper and damp wood. Eleanor unpacked quickly, choosing a study with floor-to-ceiling windows and shelves stuffed with dusty tomes. The fireplace crackled to life, and she settled into a worn leather chair with her notebook. But her pen wouldn't move. The silence was not peaceful, it was pregnant. It throbbed, it listened. That night, Eleanor heard whispers, faint and fragmented, like voices underwater. She rose and padded down the creaking hallway, pressing her ear to doors. Nothing. But when she returned to bed, her closet door was ajar. She had closed it. The next day, Eleanor explored the attic. It was cluttered with antiques, trunks, mannequins draped in sheets, boxes of letters tied with twine. She found a journal belonging to Miriam Talbot, the manor's original owner. "They watch from the forest," Miriam had written, "always watching. Sometimes they knock. Sometimes they try to come inside." Eleanor laughed nervously and closed the book. Just a bored housewife with an overactive imagination. That night, the knocking began. It started faintly, a soft tap-tap at the kitchen window, then louder, tap-tap-tap. She opened the curtain. Nothing but fog and trees. She checked the door. Locked. But as she turned away, she heard footsteps outside. Slow. Deliberate. Crunching dead leaves. She didn't sleep. The manor groaned constantly now. Eleanor heard scratching in the walls. At first, she thought it was mice. But the sounds were too rhythmic. Too purposeful. One night, she pressed her ear to the wooden paneling. "Eleanor," something whispered. She screamed and stumbled back. That same night, she saw a shadow at the end of the hall. Tall, still. Watching. Eleanor ventured into town. The locals avoided her gaze. One old woman clutched her wrist and hissed, "They don't like strangers. You stirred them." "Who?" Eleanor asked. "The hollow people, the ones who never sleep. They live between the trees and the walls. You brought your words into their silence. They want it back." Eleanor returned to the manor, shaking. She tried to write, but her pen moved on its own. It wrote, "They are behind you." She turned. Nothing. A door she hadn't noticed before appeared in the cellar, iron-bound. No handle. She left it alone. That night, she heard it creak open. Something came up the stairs. Heavy. Wet. In the morning, slime trailed across the hardwood floor. She woke up in a different room. One she didn't recognize. The wallpaper pulsed like skin. The windows were bricked over. She screamed. The walls absorbed the sound. When she finally got out, the room was gone. A blank wall stood where the door had been. Miriam's journal held one last entry: "The only way out is through the forest. Leave your name behind. Speak not a word. If they ask you questions, do not answer." Eleanor packed. She lit the manor ablaze, hoping to trap the whispers inside. She entered the woods. The forest was a black cathedral. No wind, no birds, only shadows. She followed the path until it forked. A child stood at the divide, pale as snow. "What's your name?" the child asked. Eleanor said nothing. The child vanished. She chose the left path. The trees grew thicker. Faces stared from the bark. Eleanor found a clearing. In the center, a table set for a feast. Meat steamed. Goblets sparkled. "Join us," the hosts whispered. Faceless figures in tattered finery. "Just one bite." She turned away. Her stomach groaned, but she kept walking. Behind her, something shrieked. A pond mirrored her face. But the reflection blinked when she didn't. "Stay," it mouthed. "You belong." She stepped back. The water rose. Fingers of liquid stretched toward her. She ran. The path ended at a black archway. Beyond it, light. But a voice echoed, "Say your name, and we'll let you go." She almost did. But then she remembered Miriam's warning. She bit her tongue and walked forward. The forest screamed, then silence. Eleanor woke in her city apartment, covered in dirt and ash. The manuscript was complete, pages filled with words she didn't remember writing. The book was published, a bestseller. But sometimes, she hears knocking at her window. Sometimes, her closet opens on its own. Sometimes, her pen writes by itself, "Come back."